Ready to welcome you upstairs. We will start with the artist and VIP pass holders. Keep your way over to the front of the line. You're going up to town. Let's look stairway. Please show your VIP or parking pass. You are welcome to start with
I love film festivals because they combine two of my favorite things, films and festivals. But seriously, folks, Webster's Dictionary defines festival as a day or period of celebration, typically a religious commemoration.
I'm sneaking out of work Thursday and Friday early and spending all day Saturday and Sunday seeing some great films.
That's the best part, isn't it?
It is.
The Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow and the next day are going to be great, but the Thursday and Friday is pretty awesome.
Yes, it's a great film festival. It's well run, and it's great to see everybody here.
So you've basically probably been to one movie so far?
This is it, yep.
Yeah, okay. So did you just see Dancer? Did you see it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. It's like my heart is broken.
So first of all, could you just share the quote that you started the film with again?
Yeah, so it's a quote by the British novelist. Her name is Angela Carter, and she's writing about the communal experience of the movies. And she said something, and I hope I'm correct in quoting her, but something to the effect, she likens it to the Greeks participating in the mysteries, gathering together to dream the same dream. So she likens us watching the movies together to dreaming the same dream.
Mobile podcast unit, testing. Say hello, Christy.
Hello, Christy.
Right now, it's New Hampshire Film Festival, day 1, morning 1. I'm cooking bacon and Christy is packing provisions. Because here's the thing about what's happening with us in the New Hampshire Film Festival. We're going at this motherfucker hard. We're going to be in screenings from... Hang on, let me go. I'm going to go take a look. Say goodbye, Christy.
Goodbye, Christy.
We're going to be in screenings every day from around 10 in the morning to 10 at night. And the longest break that we have between screenings is like 35 minutes. For 4 days.
So we're sitting here at the reception area on opening. This is New Hampshire night of the New Hampshire Film Festival, so a lot of the stuff we've seen is locally produced or locally minded.
I think it's also just like a shorts day in general, right?
Right.
This is when most of the shorts are happening.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you like about short film? I like that you can see so many here, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I like the challenge of making them, personally. Just finding a way to condense an entire story into a short period of time. It's something that's more challenging, I'd say, than a feature length.
So, we just got back from night 1 of our New Hampshire Film Festival experience. The Zach and Christy hardcore, ass-destroying. You know what? We're going to think of a better name for it.
Also, I'm still maintaining it's worse on the knees than it is on the butt.
That's what she said.
How you doing, man?
I just want to interject myself into this stream. Can you get me on both microphones, please?
Yeah, both microphones.
You guys are doing a really wonderful job. I've seen you all over here tonight. Actually, I haven't seen you until just this moment, but you're really doing a great job. And I want all your listeners to know that you've really dedicated yourselves to bringing out the behind-the-scenes, dark, sordid story behind the film festival. I'm really proud of you.
So far, today's story is about what happens when you sit in the loft at the music hall for like 7 hours. What happens to you both psychologically and physiologically. It's not good, man.
You're going to make me cry. I'm sorry. What you can't see at home, folks, is I'm giving them both a pat on the back. Both Christy and Zach, I'm giving them pats on the back.
The first block of the day started at 10:30 a.m. and the first thing we saw was On By, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the one with the lady who does the bobsled runs with dogs for cancer.
I think it's a dog sled, not a bobsled. Bobsled is like
Bobsled's when you get pulled by guys named Bob.
No, bobsled's like the Jamaican bobsled
Oh,
team.
yeah. Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a dog sled.
You have the control as a director to kind of be like, I really appreciate what you said. That works, but can you speed it up a little bit? Because I feel like every word took so long to come out, and every sentence was just like filled with a lot of stuff.
I was thinking of that several times while we were watching documentaries that were mostly built around a single interview with a person. And I think that's a really interesting technique, to just have this one person's voice. No questions, just kind of like the answers to questions edited together into an unending monologue.
You're missing the other half of the interview.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting way of seeing, showing a person just in their own words only. But I was also thinking about, from the point of view of a director and an editor, I'm sure the way that the person said things sometimes and the speed with which they were saying it, I'm sure it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
So the next thing we saw was
Namuli.
Yes. Which I would say only fell half. Okay, so it's a... I was going to say in the tree...
You can't really say what it was.
In the spirit of this documentary, I'm going to talk about it for 5 minutes before explaining what it is, like it did about itself.
But it was beautiful in the meantime.
Sure, it was.
So be beautiful in the meantime.
Yes. But, I mean, I swear... this woman kept saying, like, it's so great we get to bring together science and hiking, and it was like, what are you talking about? And it turned out ultimately it was about an expedition to explore the biodiversity of a mountain in Mozambique, which was heretofore more or less undocumented.
But they kept talking about the fires of the trees, and it all started with them talking about the fires and the trees and the importance of the trees, and now the kids need to have the trees around, and that doesn't have anything to do with the exploration of the life.
Yeah. And also, didn't it turn out, and they were saying, so this area in Mozambique, they were talking about the importance of conservation, and they were saying that they need to try to preserve these trees. But then it turns out that the trees aren't threatened by global warming or a particular kind of beetle or whatever. It's because the people in the town cut down the trees. And so that was where kind of my interest in their cause sort of went away, because they're like, oh, we have to conserve this land. Oh, what's the problem? What's threatening it? Oh, the people that live there. Okay, well, maybe let them cut down the trees and focus on something else, like go focus on an ice shelf. Next we had Protect the Bobcat. Protect the Bobcat, which was a short documentary about an ultimately successful effort to block legislation that would have allowed bobcat hunting in New Hampshire. What were your thoughts?
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts, surprisingly, on this one.
A lot of thoughts on bobcats.
Mainly, I think your camera quality shouldn't affect... Or shouldn't, your camera quality shouldn't dictate the quality of your image. If your camera can't handle a full bright sunlight, then don't shoot in a full bright sunlight if it's gonna like blow out and everything. And also, how do you make a whole film without looking at your color balance? It's like, it stressed me out kind of the whole time, because they didn't care what any of that looked like. Yeah. And it was just about the I mean, and I understand you want to get like a message out there and everything like that, but then you went from this really like grainy kind of footage that was inconsistent with this other like drone footage of like a hot air balloons, and then a lake, and then something
What are
else.
balloons about?
I don't know, but then you take all this other footage and you add it in, and then the White Mountains and that hotel and stuff, they did all of that in that film, and it didn't make sense, especially it gave away the amateur look of all the other footage. It kind of just like made that stand out so much more because it looked like they just purchased a bunch of really nice B-roll from somebody or something.
Yeah, which is possible. And I think that I thought about the effect of drones and how that would affect the films we saw this year. Because this is probably the first year that the majority of the offerings at least had the option of drone photography. And there it was. Yeah, and it is kind of jarring. I didn't really know what bobcats looked like.
No?
No. So this is my first time seeing bobcats. I mean, maybe that I knew of. I also liked the bit about them being a self-regulating species. Like they keep their own numbers in control. I thought that was really interesting. It has to do with food scarcity. It's not like all the bobcats get together and say, "All right, listen, there's too many of us.
Somebody's gotta move."
Yeah, 30 of you have to go to Maine."
The next one is Signs of Love.
Signs of Love, which was a computer-animated short film. Now, this was, by the way, a short film about the man and the woman sign on a bathroom. So this was a short. This was a short animation about. It was an animated short about a guy symbol and a girl symbol on bathrooms on opposite sides of a hallway falling in love with each other, which carries some weird, I think, accidental resonance in like the year of the like transgender bathroom bill and everything, which was a question I thought of asking during the Q&A and thought, no, I'm not going to open this can of worms.
Open that. The other one, the one about the confessions of a
cannabis consultant. Yes.
I have one comment only.
Okay.
I think it only lacked art.
There was, yes, because there was kind of this one particular sequence with him just sort of like cutting a weed plant. I don't know what the terminology is. Snipping those buds. For like they kept coming back to that one shot, and it was a nice shot. But I almost would rather not have it at all, and have just kind of the sort of artless, normal ugliness of the rest of it, than have this one artistic shot.
Other than that, I was pretty pleased.
Yeah, Confessions of a Cannabis Consultant was about a guy who was running his own medical marijuana operation and was arrested and lost all of his business. And the documentary basically, it's a short documentary, and it basically covers the end of his trial, in which he basically only got 90 days probation, unsupervised probation, which is basically nothing, right? He basically got nothing, but it kind of left open-ended what he was supposed to do with the rest of his life, because his livelihood was taken away.
But he says he still does the same thing, kind of, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah, which of course led to the Q&A then devolved sort of immediately into like a very minute discussion.
You started it.
I know, it was my fault. I asked a question for Ezra. What's happening now? How are you getting along?
It's a great question. Well, after about 4 months of scratching my head and applying for jobs in the nonprofit industry, I kept getting calls, and I don't grow cannabis, but I still advise people, and we now have a dispensary that's right in our town, and people will come to me with their various products, and they say, I have benzodiazepine withdrawal syndrome, and they gave me this to smoke. What do I do? So I am still a cannabis consultant.
Once a weed man, always a weed man. And it led to 15 minutes of people talking about marijuana legislation and different medicinal properties of various marijuana-adjacent products. And
meanwhile, the Signs of Love guy just looks like he wants to melt into the floor.
It's got to be rough up there for those Q&As.
I can't imagine.
It's got to be.
Without the THC. Can you comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Cannabis has over 100
your podcast called?
It's called The Last Podcast.
I'm Josh Peterson.
Okay, Josh Peterson. And
Yes.
you're here with a short film.
Yes, it's
And-
called Forest Born.
Okay.
It's a 22-minute film, so it's kind of a long short. A friend of mine calls with the films I make feature shorts because most shorts end up being like 10, 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
And in fact, some festivals won't take things more than 20 minutes.
But the New Hampshire Film Festival does.
They
for
do.
Sure.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. What's the major difference between a short film that's 10 minutes long and one that's 22 minutes long?
That's
what else
a
what do you
really
get to
good
have?
question. I mean, I think more time gives you an opportunity to obviously kind of spread out and take some room, but also to go a little bit deeper. You don't have to be quite as efficient. Like, a short that's 5 or 10 minutes long is like a haiku. You've got to really pack it in like an amazing piece of poetry. And that's great, and you can evoke a lot that way, but I feel like there's more freedom if I'm going 20 minutes, half an hour. But it's also, since I'm a struggling artist, filmmaker with a day job, it's something that's a little bit more manageable than a feature-length film, or has been up till now, because that's what I've been making for the last several years.
Is the goal ultimately to move to making longer ones, or are you happy?
It is. I'm actually I'm working on my first feature film right now, and just getting it off the ground. It's written, and I'm sort of in pre-production and development for it. But the shorts were all. It wasn't just a practical thing. It was also just creatively, like what felt right to me at the time, what was manageable for me, getting sort of films going.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer. I've been working as a film editor for many, many years. That's my day job, working on other people's stuff. And I'm a big believer that a project it wants to be a certain length. And you kind of find that in the editing room, especially with documentaries where things can kind of go in a lot of different directions and might have hundreds of hours of footage or whatever. It sort of has a sweet spot, and it's a very intuitive process of kind of finding out what the identity of the film is. And for me, the shorts that I've made have all been things that felt right. That felt like the right length, So it wasn't. I couldn't make a case in a court of law about it, or in a science lab about exactly what the numbers are to make that work. But it just, to me, intuitively felt like the right length.
Yeah, so what's Forest Born about?
Forest Born is very hard to sum up. It's kind of a trippy movie. I'd say it's about a man who hikes into a forest and has a totally earth-shattering experience that sort of confronts him with his own identity and life and craziness. It's sort of like it's a bit of a surreal dream.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So when you're creating a story that's based on dreams, how much do you make your friends describe to you all the dreams that they had to make sure
all
that yours
personal.
aren't just really weird? Yeah, it's all just you.
I think it's good if mine are really weird. I think I'd rather surprise people. I mean, yes, there's something cool about showing people something that's familiar, but I think also people want to see something that's unexpected. And it's a cliche, but I really believe in this idea of the universal comes from the personal. Like if you dig down really honestly into yourself and to your own unconscious, which is what this film really is for me, then you're more likely to be able to resonate with other people. And if you second guess it and you're worried about what other people think and all that kind of stuff, you're less likely to reach that point. So all the films I make are very much on an intuitive level, where it starts with like an image or a moment or an emotion or a situation that I kind of come up with and then I kind of obsess over, like I can't get it out of my mind. So curious, there's this one moment. And then the whole process of writing becomes, okay, so this guy's in this forest clearing and there's this big tree there. How did he get there? And then also, where does he go next?
So Guided was one of my favorites.
Absolutely. Guided was great.
It was beautiful.
Yes. Guided was a short documentary about a man who lives off the grid he's got a glass eye. What was his name?
He has a glass eye?
He had a glass eye, yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was like
Ray.
Ray Rizalzi's.
Yeah, Ray Wrights or something. Ray Wrightsy or something.
Reezy's.
Ray is the guy's name. So a man who lives off the grid named Ray, and the kind of
the way that his expertise and weird way of living has kind of drawn a bunch of weirdo misfits to him. And it was just this beautifully shot portrait of a I want to say naturist, but that makes it sounds like he hangs out naked. Yeah, a guide. Yeah, a forest guide. As he kind of faces his impending death, which was interesting.
The slowing, I think he kind of referred to it as.
Yeah.
Like he was slowing.
But really interesting guy.
Really pretty.
Yeah. Beautifully shot portrait of a really interesting guy.
I actually was thinking that it sounds kind of weird, but it was kind of like visually like a haiku at times. Like when he was like talking and it would kind of like just go off just a little bit, and then the way that he appreciated things on a small and a grand scale, it kind of kept feeling like that to me.
So what you're saying is that kind of the documentary was stylistically appropriate for kind of its subject and its subject's philosophy. Yeah, which is something that I think is great when it happens.
And also, his tea looked like something I would love.
What did he make it out of?
Like pine needles and sticks. It's like, oh yeah. The Challengers next.
Oh my God. We talked about this a little bit in the immediate aftermath, which is a poor choice of words, of seeing this documentary. It's called The Challenger Disaster, The Lost Tapes, I believe. I just wanted to say that I was hoping that there'd be somebody here from the Challenger thing.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to give them, I was just curious about, like, when you're dealing with something that is like that, like crushingly sad, is there ever a point where you have to be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this? Like maybe showing her parents watch her blow up is like cruel and unusual, you know?
Well, not even that, but like the things that if you think there's two different ways you could look at it, like a person that doesn't know what's going to happen, and the fact that you, as the director, know exactly what's going to happen, it changes everything that you're saying.
It's true.
You become so dark
by
letting people say those things,
yeah,
and then choosing to use that.
Yeah, some of it was so cruel.
Yeah,
I thought, and also, the other thing that I wanted to just say now before I would forget was that I thought the moment that like knocked me out though was the shot of the woman who was Kristen McAuliffe's backup, like running, and the camera fall. Oh my God, it's gonna make me tear up thinking about it. Oh my God. Oh.
I could hear it like coming from you like the whole time, but the worst part that was killing me was the lady beside me was crying and eating popcorn the whole time,
no.
and I was like, if you
my God. The woman to the left of me was also like crying crazily.
Well, firstly, there's no way that wasn't so. Everyone was crying.
Oh yeah, that was another weird thing, is to feel the whole room, and then also at the beginning when they were showing the launch the first time, it happened both times, but like my heart was like pounding because I knew it was going to happen, and it's so weird to feel a room full of people do that. That's the first time I've ever seen a short film do that.
Yeah.
I saw the end of Inglourious Bastards does that, but that's like I've never seen somebody do it in a.
I was gonna say there's like a huge build to it, whereas this is just like.
But the shot of her running, that's gonna stick with me forever.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, I know I had something else about that one too. I feel like I should eat something though.
Yeah. I agree. I knew the story of the Challenger disaster. I knew it. Like it happened before I was born. But it never had been depicted for me so viscerally as in this documentary. I mean, my heart was pounding. And then afterwards, when you knew what had happened and when the explosion happens and when it's showing, Kristen McAuliffe's family in the stands watching it happen, it was.
I know.
It was incredibly difficult. And I don't even want to talk about the shot that that was like that overwhelmed me. We already recorded that, so I don't even want to start to say it out loud again, or I'm gonna tear up again. But I mean, they kept cutting back, and I understand when it was happening on live TV or whatever. Although, God, didn't you, in watching this documentary and watching, because they're kind of trying to show all the behind the scenes footage, you're seeing a lot of like the cameras maneuvering and refocusing on different people, the stuff that didn't make it into the news packages at the time. Doesn't it make you feel like, oh my God, to be a photojournalist or to be a cameraman or something is to some extent be sort of totally amoral.
Soulless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're like zooming in on the faces of crying kids at the gymnasium of Kristen McAuliffe's school. Like in the immediate aftermath of her exploding in the sky. And it's like, oh, I got to zoom in on this 8-year-old. She's really tearing up. I understand the necessity of something like that for posterity and for creating something like this that's so impactful, but it's like, oh my God.
I was feeling like all of the things leading up to the day of, they had a delay one day and they had another thing happen the next day, and then they were going to do it another time, and then the things were frozen and everything like that. And I was like, isn't this like a sign?
Right?
They should just like cancel.
I mean, hindsight is 20/20, certainly, but
I feel like you kind of gotta take your hints, like if they're being thrown in your face.
So yesterday we watched a documentary about the sculptor Sumner Weinbaum. So it was basically. We believe we have seen an example of his work here in Portsmouth. And we've got a little time before our first movie of the day, so we're going to go see if we can find it.
Yeah, that was cool too, but I still feel like
Wow.
it's always further to the synagogue than I remember. The conversation will go different places, but when it lulls again, you can give them another one.
Yeah.
It's just always, the kind of, I'm sorry, I'm really distracted right now because you said stay to your left and everybody moved to the right.
Stay at your stage left. That's what he meant. That's a theater troupe. So we're arriving now at the Temple Israel Community Center. And there's these two hands.
It has got to be.
Yeah, it really looks like his work.
Is there no plaque?
I'm not sure. There's these two hands, and it says the word hope. Two outstretched, open hands. It's a nice piece of work. Let me see. Google searching Temple, Israel, Portsmouth, hand sculpture. Sumner Weinbaum. Sumner Weinbaum shares vision of sculpture for Temple Israel. Temple Israel has teamed with local artist Sumner Weinbaum in an effort to bring a new piece of art to the State Street Synagogue. July 9, 2011. A bronze sculpture called Praying Hands will be installed by fall at the downtown temple, courtesy of Weinbaum and a small group of donors. The art will be located 36 feet from the edge of the sidewalk in a courtyard on the temple property. It will stand 64 inches high. By the way, Jewish tradition holds that the number 36 has had special significance since the beginning of time. According to the Midrash, the light created by God on the first day of the creation shone for exactly 36 hours. It was replaced by the light of the sun that was created on the fourth day. That's why it's 36 feet from the sidewalk. As an editor, do you have like any pet peeve things that you see like in some other documentary that just drives you nuts?
That's a good question.
That begin at 8, they're actually beginning now.
Oh, the shorts are beginning now.
What drives me nuts? I mean, I think I have a general feeling. I think this is changing, thankfully, finally now. But a few years ago, I was really kind of feeling like PBS was ruining documentaries in America.
Yeah.
There's a certain formula, with the talking head and the music used a certain way and the archival footage and things that were done, great the first time they were done, were just becoming like this kind of very dead formula. And that was made worse by the way the funding structure works for documentaries, which is that, big funders want to give you money, but they're like business school grads. They want to have I want a proof of concept and I want to have this thing that shows exactly how it's going to work. So there was no exploration in a lot of documentaries that I was seeing coming out. It was like all figured out beforehand. It ends up being kind of canned,
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I think in the last 4 or 5 years, finally, especially internationally, we're kind of breaking out of that a little bit, and we're seeing documentaries that kind of are more adventurous, more open-ended, more personal, and aren't kind of crammed into this very rigid kind of pattern.
Do you think that that impulse got farmed out to reality TV?
Yeah.
Because we watch a lot of Chopped, and
Sure.
if you watch 5 episodes of Chopped and you have any sense of how editing works, you understand the whole thing, but in the first 5 minutes,
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
ruins it.
Yeah. They just change the names and the faces, but otherwise you're watching the exact same show.
But it is you almost feel like there is a math formula that they have to just plug the pieces.
Well, I think if
into.
you're working that fast, which I know people who work in reality TV, and it's just it's an insane process. I mean, it's an assembly line. So of course it has to become standardized. And also I think that's the way so much bad TV works, which is giving people what they think they want and this kind of very familiar, repetitive thing.
Yeah.
But it's totally true. I mean, it's like any one of those shows, exactly, that's the good guy, she's the bad girl, this is just, this is going to happen, we're going to, it's like you can even predict the little surprises and twists that they have because it's like they fall right at the right time, and that kind of thing does drive me nuts, it's true. And that kind of TV editing that's so... You see a lot of cutting in films now also, I think, which is, it's like it grabs you by the scruff of the neck and it shoves your face in it. And to me, that is a mark of a lack of confidence in what you're doing. It's sort of like, I can't trust an audience to fall in love with this material and to be captivated by this story. So I'm just going to manipulate the hell out of you. I'm just going to make it really obvious and hammer it home. And every big beat's going to be hit by the big music sting.
Yeah.
And we're going to get really fast here and sort of goose up all this artificial energy. And it's like... To me, it's like there's a kind of desperation behind that. It's like they don't believe in what they're doing. So.
Yeah. Have you seen anything at the festival yet?
I just got out of seeing Food Fight, which I really enjoyed. It was an amazing story, which I knew nothing about because I have some connections in New England, but I'm not from around here. So I imagine people knew that story who were around here. But
I don't know how this story played nationally, but. The largest non-union labor dispute happened here in New Hampshire and in Massachusetts and Maine. Involved the Market Basket chain of supermarkets 2 years ago. I really enjoy any movie where a bunch of guys with Boston accents, first of all, talk a lot, and then also put one over on the bigwigs. Yeah.
Having come from editing documentaries,
Yeah.
how do you feel about the editing of that?
It's good. I mean, I think I think they accomplished an amazing thing, which is they had this huge amount of stuff, and they had a lot of really wonderful. I'm actually most impressed with the director who did the interviews, because the people are all incredible in these interviews. They're so expressive, they're funny, they're heartfelt. You can see in these interviews how they're taking their time, so they're obviously not being pressured, and they feel relaxed, and they're able to be real personal. So I think they did a great job of kind of telling these people's story on their own terms.
I went to 3 shorts walks today, so I saw 15 films. and I was definitely impressed. There was like a lot of really great stuff. I'm a filmmaker myself, and a short filmmaker, so I feel like it really is beneficial to see shorts because it's a totally different structure from
Do you feel like
features.
if you watch too many short films that you're like creatively overwhelmed and you have to like go sit in a dark room for a while?
A little bit.
Yes.
I definitely came out of each block being like, wow, I can't even remember like what I just watched because I just watched so many things.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, tomorrow maybe I'll like look back at like the titles of each of them. I'll be like, oh yeah, that one. Like that was really great. I mean, like definitely some stuck out more than others.
Crest of the Hill?
That was a very short about a guy,
Alzheimer's.
considering selling his house and contemplating what that meant, and sort of wondering how he would deal with it as he succumbed to the worsening symptoms of Alzheimer's.
But can you name something it lacked?
No. And what it really reminded me of was I really love the short story collection by George Saunders, 10th of December.
Mm-hmm.
And Alzheimer's in particular hangs over the stories in the book like this specter, And there are some very short stories. And I love the idea that that story is basically about one single thing, which was, I have Alzheimer's. If I sell my house, aren't I going to come back here every day? And I think that's
it was a little bit more broad than that, but
that was the core idea.
it was so put together and so tight and visually good, and audio was really fine, and it was emotional all in like what?
A minute and a half, 2 minutes?
Nothing. Yeah. And it was, I have nothing.
Yeah, no false moves.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one. I think probably my favorite was the Challenger one, just because as brutal as it was, I mean, you have to appreciate like a piece of 30-minute art that can kick your ass like that.
Yeah, I would say based on your flinching and twitching and stuff, I would say that's probably one of your favorites because it wasn't necessarily in the same way. But like there's a couple others where like you were coming out of your seat and like holding yourself.
What's it like to sit next to me in a movie theater? I'm an active viewer.
It's all right.
We just saw Peter and the Farm, which was a documentary about a farmer who looks like an old, gnarled Patrick Stickles. And which was...
Want to do this now?
No, I just wanted to record this one thought, which was that it was produced by Melissa Off-Demar, who students of the 90s will remember was briefly Darcy Retzky's replacement in the Smashing Pumpkins. Like around the time of like that like Ava Adore music video, I believe. Just wanted to drop some 90s knowledge, into this podcast somewhere. The documentary was very much a portrait of this guy, and at kind of a strange, lonely, depressed time in his life.
Everything had a meaning and everything had a purpose. And that's what's getting lost now.
I felt like, so often when you see these portrait documentaries, you think, oh, wow, they found quite the character, These documentarians, like, how did they come across this subject? How did they hear about Peter Dunning, farmer of Vermont? But it kind of kept hinting at sort of their weird relationship, that he was kind of... So there was a bit of a feedback loop in the movie because it was a documentary about a very interesting subject, and that very interesting subject was sort of using the fact that there was a documentary being made about him to explore himself a little bit, and didn't like what he found.
I care more about the farm than me.
I thought that it flirted with having an elliptical structure. It starts and ends on the same line. And I understand that part of it is about kind of...
It was also the calendar year of a farmer.
Yeah. But it's not like once a year he calls the sheep across a field. So it just felt like a weird note to end on. Although I'm not quite sure what note to end on. I heard something recently about a writer who gave this advice that says every time he finishes a story, at the end, he writes the end, and then he goes back and he deletes the last sentence. And there were quite a few points toward the end. Whenever you're watching a movie, you start to get the sense that it's going to end. And there were a couple of times when I went, all right, and stop, but it didn't.
Firstly, to your first thing, it ended going back to him calling the sheep because the whole thing is he's sick of it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He fucking
hates sheep in his words.
Yeah, the whole thing is just a pattern, and that's what it is you just keep on doing it because that's what you do, and that's why the pattern of the sheep again.
Did you think he was going to kill himself before the documentary was over?
No.
I was afraid he would.
But what was the thing you said before? You said about the line ending. Oh, I had a line towards the end because at one point close to the end he said, and that's it, or he said and that's the end, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know what Tony keeps doing and coming over here for, or whatever kind of thing after. And then there's a little bit more, and I was like, if they just said, and that's the end, it would have been
it would have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.